Looking now at the last exercise for the chapter, which is exercise 3.7. Don't forget to put the date on your page up here. Okay. Now, let's do a couple of little examples before we have a look at this. You've looked at how to add fractions together. You've looked at how to multiply and divide fractions. Remember, when you divide a fraction, so you've got something divided by 2 over 3, all you do is you change that around, and that equals, you get rid of the divide, you put a multiplied sign in there instead of the divide sign, and you change it to 3 over 2. Okay, so we've looked at addition, multiplication and division of fractions. Now we're going to have a quick look at problems which are a mixture of addition and subtraction and multiplication. So the sort of problem we're talking about is like this one here. So we've got 3 plus 5 over 2 plus a half. Now this is the example that's on page 162 of your book. Now what you do, notice there's no brackets here. If there are brackets, then obviously you do the sum that's in the brackets first. But there's no brackets, so your BIMDAS, you always do the brackets, the indices, multiplication, division, addition and subtraction. So we do the multiplication first, so we're going to do this bit first. Okay, so we just rewrite it, leave it as 3 plus. Now, let's just look at this multiplication. What's the, we just cancel these out, so simplify. Remember, you don't have to get a lowest common denominator with multiplication. You can just multiply the top numbers and bottom numbers together. But before we do, let's just cancel. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 2 once. So it's 1 times 1 over 5 times 1, so it's 1 over 5. So 3 plus 1 over 5 is 3 1/5. Now, with most of these questions, you probably should write the answer as mixed numerals. Now what I mean is, you could work this out and you can get 16 over 5. That's an improper fraction. You're actually best to go, how many 5s go into 16? 3, and 1 left over, so it'll be 3 1/5. All right, let's do a harder one. That was a pretty easy question, that one. Let's do a harder example, and this is the one that's on page 162. So what we've got 6 over 7 multiplied by 1 2/3 plus a quarter in brackets, take 3 over 7. All right, this is a bit more complicated. Now the rules are BIMDAS. Let's write that down. BIMDAS. Brackets first. There are brackets. So what you do is you write it, leave everything as it is outside the brackets. Now let's do what's inside the brackets. We need to add 1 2/3 to a quarter. Now I'm going to convert. Actually, no. Yes, I'm going to convert this one into an improper fraction. So 1 times 3 is 3 plus 2 is 5, so that's 5 on 3. 1 2/3 is the same as 5 on 3, plus a quarter. Okay? So let's work out what that is. We've first of all got to get a lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator between 3 and 4 is 12. Actually, let's write this a different way. So 12 plus, here we go, there's the lowest common denominator done. What are you going to multiply 3 by to give you 12? 4. So you've got to multiply the bottom by 4. You've got to multiply the top by 4. 4 5s are 20. What are you going to multiply 4 by to give you 12? You've got to multiply by 3. So multiply the top one by 3. Once 3 is 3. Okay, now there's a lot of writing down for this, but I'm just breaking it down into smaller steps. We're still trying to work out what's inside the brackets, because you have to do what's in the brackets first. You can't do anything else until you've done what's in the brackets. Now we've got the lowest common denominator there is 12, so 20 plus 3 is 23 on 12. Hang on. 23 over 12. So there's the answer for what's in the brackets. Okay, now what we can do, we've done the brackets, there's no indices. Now let's do the multiplication. Here's the multiplication here. Okay, so let's just do that. Is there anything that'll cancel out? Yes. 6 goes into 6 once, 6 goes into 12 twice. So that will be 1 times 23, so 23 over 7 times 2, 14. So it's going to be 23 on 14, take 3 over 7. Okay. Now, in order to do subtraction and addition, you have to have the lowest common denominator. So I've got to rewrite these two fractions with a lowest common denominator. So what number will 14 and 7 go into? Well, it's obviously 14. So that's 23 over 14. Now, what are you going to multiply 7 by to give you 14? You've got to multiply it by 2. So you've got to multiply the top number by 2 as well. So that'll be 6 on 14. 23 take 6 is 17 on 14. Now that's an improper fraction because the top number is bigger than the bottom number. So let's see, how many 14s go into 17? 1 and 3 remainder. So the answer is 1 and 3 over 14. Now I'll just do one more example. You can go on and you can do exercise 3.7 now if you want, if you think you understand it. Just work your way through exercise 3.7. If you're not sure, then I'll do another one. Now what I'll do is let us do this one. 2 3/4 plus 4 1/2 take 3 1/4 times a half. Okay, you've got to do what's in brackets first, so you just leave everything else the same. Write these as improper fractions. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus the one on top is 9 on 2. 3 4s are 12, plus the one on top is 13 on 4. Okay, now, we're still working on the stuff in the brackets, so everything outside the brackets you don't change, just leave it the same. We need a lowest common denominator between 2 and 4, well that's obviously 4. So, what are you going to multiply 2 by to give you 4? You've got to multiply by 2. You've got to multiply the top number by 2, so it's 18 on 4, and that's 13 on 4. Okay, now, let's keep working on those brackets and get rid of the brackets. What do we got here? 18 take 13 is 5, so it's going to be 5 over 4 is the answer for what's inside the brackets. Okay, times a half. Now, so we've done the brackets, indices, there's no indices, multiplication. So let's do this bit now. So leave the 2 3/4 at the front. Plus, now multiplication, nothing will cancel. So 5, you can get the top numbers and multiply them together. 5 times 1 is 5. The bottom numbers multiplied together, 4 times 2 is 8. There we go. Now, we have a problem where it's addition. So with the addition, you can just add the whole numbers up separate to the fractions. So just leave the 2, bring that 2 across here. Right, we're going to add 3/4 on the 5/8. What's the lowest common denominator? The lowest common denominator is going to be 8. So that's 5 on 8. What are you going to multiply 4 by to give you 8 as the common denominator? You've got to multiply by 2, so multiply the top number by 2. That gives you 6 on 8. Okay. Right, let's just simply add the top fractions together. Now we've got a lowest common denominator. So 5 plus 6 is 11. So it's going to be 2 and 11 on 8, which is 3 and 3/8. There you go. So what I want you to do is have a go at exercise 3.7, please. That would be great.